Go live. There we are. Hello, guys. Welcome to Fantasy Island. All right, you're there. Instagram going live. There we go. Substack copy link stream. Bam. There live. We go. Substack is at least working normally today. That's good. All right. Hey, Ashley Beese. Hey, Timon. I don't even know. Tim? Oh, Tim on Topaz. Timon. I was close. I'm thinking, oh, it's Timon. Tim on Topaz. MAGA. Well, MAGA hater, not MAGA. All righty. I got you guys good. You're good. Hello, Ashley Beese. All right. And then TikTok. We're good. All right. TikTok. All right. Oh, and the comments are, of course, screwing up on StreamYard like they always do. So I may have to reboot. Not reboot, just refresh the page. Yeah, I'm refreshing the page really quick. I'll be back in 1 second. There we go. That's better. It literally, I can't even explain it to you. It kind of hides the comments, and I have to keep manually clicking down to see them on StreamYard when it screws up. So that way I refreshed and it's normal. Hello, TikTok. Hello, everybody. Hello. Welcome. Today is Thursday, August 6th. You got a heat warning in Halifax. It's 100 degrees in Canada. Wow. I know. Well, our weather is pretty normal. I mean, we are getting rain, but it's like 88, although you guys have had heat too. DC is always hot and humid and sunny and everything. I mean, that's sort of typical for Washington where I am. Good afternoon, everybody. So, hey, welcome, guys. Today is Thursday, August 6th. I don't know. Getting into the midst of the end of summer, but sort of the middle, the hottest days of summer. I am, as I said, going to Phoenix next week. Anybody in Phoenix? I forgot. Some of you. Actually, is it Gunther? No, Gunther's not near there. Somebody's near there, I thought. Oh, maybe it's Fritz, who I know from somewhere else. Hello. But actually, I do have another good friend who moved out there. I need to let her know that I'm going out there. But yeah, what a surprise. TikTok isn't telling you I'm live. Surprise. Anyway, oh, TikTok, you silly TikTok. Anyway, but yes, so I'm heading out on Wednesday, and we'll see. I don't know. I'm on vacation. I may do some lives. I may not. I may do some videos. I don't know. I haven't. Oh, Yumble in Kenya. Very cool. We haven't had too many people from Kenya that I recall. Nice to meet you. And Frank in New Zealand. We definitely get our New Zealanders. But anyway, yeah, so we'll see what happens next week. Remember, Monday, we've got booked the lawyer whose name I still haven't double-checked, Josh. I think it's Kolb. Let me look and see. I'm annoyed that I'm forgetting his name here. Hang on a second. Josh. Oh, my iPad's having to catch up first. Josh. I think it's Kolb. Kolb. Yes, K-O-L-B. K-O-L-B. Indeed. Yes, Joshua Kolb. Josh Kolb. Josh is the lawyer, one of the lawyers for David Hearn, who is the reflecting pool vandal, except he's not a vandal because he didn't do anything wrong. But he's the guy that Trump had arrested for allegedly, destroying the reflecting pool at the Lincoln Memorial. He's the one whose case basically embarrassed the government, and they had to drop it and apologize, all that crap. So his lawyer is going to be on Monday to give us the latest update on that. Basically, where it stands from what I've been told is the judges could decide at any moment. The judge has to decide to throw out the case. When dealing with felonies, it's the judge's decision. And they're waiting for the judge. The judge could decide at any moment. Or the judge could say she or he wants more arguments. I mean, you don't know. So, but should be a very interesting discussion with Josh, as I said, who's one of the lawyers for David Hearn, the former Olympian who was arrested and indicted for the bullshit over the reflecting pool. Should be a very interesting discussion since the government is now totally embarrassed, which is pretty funny. So anyway, that's good news. Otherwise, let's get rolling here. We can go. There isn't a ton of news today. Then again, sometimes I say that and we end up, talking for an hour anyway. But there was not a ton of news. So let's see how it goes as we go through the news. I mean, there's news, there's important stuff, but anyway, we'll see. There's some at least. So keep the gifts coming. I do this for a living, so very much appreciate your gifts. So make them happen. TikTok, YouTube, everybody else. Very much. Oh, and Saturday. It's Thursday already. Saturday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, U.S. We've got our coffee talk Saturday morning, which our coffee talk on TikTok, which is our hangout I do for the monthly. It's an extra show I started doing as a thank you for the monthly subscribers. It's the only show that's pay because it's literally a special one I created to thank people, to basically have some extra gift to convince people to become subscribers. So thank you for that, or super fans as they're called on TikTok. All right, so let's get going here. We're going to talk about Mitch McConnell. Don't worry, he's on the agenda. The birthright citizenship. Trump just did 2 new executive orders trying to ban birthright citizenship. I don't know if he's going to get away with it. This is an issue that I have to say. Donald Trump is a racist. So thank you, Steph. So he's doing it for bad reasons. Birthright citizenship, however, weird issue in terms of how it's done in America. It is a weird issue. I mean, I'm not thrilled about it. Having said that, it's in the Constitution, so there ain't a lot you can do about it. But the way it works is, in the U.S., like many countries, thank you, Heather, you get to pick your screaming goat, Heather. We have many, as you know, Halloween, regular, large regular, small regular. We also have yodeling pickle, which is another option. If Heather picks one and I say, Halloween, there we go. Okay, you've got Halloween. Halloween's always the... Actually, we're getting close to Halloween again. Kind of wild when you think about it, right? We had to go a couple times ago. We're only a couple months from Halloween. Like I said, 3 months. Kind of surprising. So, birthright citizenship. The way it works is, in the United States, one of the ways you can become a citizen is by being born here. And nearly everyone who is born on American soil instantly becomes a citizen. The exemptions include diplomats. I don't know beyond diplomats who else is excluded. There aren't that many. But what it means is, if you're a student here and you have a baby, your baby becomes American. If you're here illegally and you have a baby, your baby becomes American. Kind of wild. If you, for example, a lot of Russian women do this. We've had articles about this. Chinese as well now. The women get pregnant. They keep track of their calendar, and they fly to the United States like a month before they're due. And then they hang out for 2 months so they can have their baby in America, and the baby ends up being automatically American. That one bothers me a lot. I will say, people being here illegally, that bothers me too. If you're not here legally, your kid shouldn't be an American citizen. The problem is, that's what the Constitution says. And you can't get around the Constitution. Trump tried to get around the Constitution last time. Supreme Court threw it out. I mean, totally, the Supreme Court said Trump was wrong. So he's trying it again now. This time, what he's doing is, let me see here. He is, thank you, Annie. Beautiful sunset. He is seeking to expand the categories of people who are ineligible for birthright citizenship and ban tourists from coming to the U.S. solely to give birth. Now, that's interesting. That's an interesting idea. Banning the tourists who are only planning to come here to give birth, that's interesting. I'm not sure how you get inside their head, right? I mean, do you ban all pregnant women from coming? I mean, Tarad. Now, that's a very nice, that's a happy birthday, Tarad. Is it somebody's birthday? Well, it's always somebody's birthday. Is it yours or someone's birthday in particular, or did you just want to buy a nice gift? I mean, it's always somebody's birthday. Whose birthday is it today? Because I know there's only 365 days in the year, so it's always there. We always have somebody here whose birthday it is. No, just a nice gift. Okay, well, if anybody says it's their birthday, we'll go for it. Thank you for Tarot. I appreciate that. Sandy's is coming up. Okay, we got Sandy. Anybody else? Because there's always going to be a few. Because again, we only have 365. Your friend from Nepal. Oh, that's interesting, Robitaille. Your son? Colin. Okay, now I'm going to, oh, that was a fun one. Was that Simon's? That was, no, Simon did the Sasha. Who just did the really cool, that was Sun and Moon. Thank you, Sun and Moon and Stars. That was very cool. Appreciate the other ones too, but that was a particularly nice one. Now I'm going to forget you guys' birthday. All right, I'll sing happy birthday anyway. I'm not going to remember the names. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Colin, and I'm forgetting everybody else. Happy birthday to you. There we go. And your grandson. And somebody's friend in Nepal. All right, there we go. Thank you, guys. So birthright citizenship. Thank you, Simon. Trump is racisty, right? So he doesn't like it because he's racisty. Having said that, it is a legitimate issue in the sense that people are abusing it. I don't know where I'm kind of curious. Where are you guys on this? I mean, we could even put a poll up, although I'm not sure what the poll answers would be. But I mean, like, it bothers me that somebody would come here illegally and then have a kid and the kid would be American. I don't like that. It bothers me that somebody would come here exclusively to give birth and their kid becomes American. I don't like that. But the Constitution does say it's allowed. It's the rule. My question is, do you like that or not like that? Because it doesn't really matter because the Constitution says it. Meaning, do you have a problem with it or not? I'm curious with those. I have a problem with it, obviously, but Trump does. But as we said, Trump, you know. Trump's problem probably is their race, among other things. A number of you don't care. They do it in Canada too. That's interesting. I mean, it does feel like cheating to me. Interesting. People are divided. There's a number that don't care, several that don't like it, several that are fine with it. Yeah, see, several don't really care. Yeah, interesting. Okay. I'd say it's almost like a third and a third and a third. It's like, kind of a mix of like, or no, or why not? Ya super. So it's one of the very special things that make America America from a European point of view, because Europe is very heavy in citizenship by blood. I see what you mean. That's interesting. I see what you mean. That's an interesting point. You're right. Which is American citizenship doesn't depend. Hey, Fallen. American citizenship. Oh, are you in Greece today? American citizenship doesn't depend on blood. Well, it can depend on blood, right? It depends, like, if I'm born to my parents, even if I'm abroad, I'm pretty sure. I don't know how that works, actually. If you're born to American parents abroad, yeah, my mom, that happened that way. My mom was born abroad to an American father. She was American. She was born in Greece, but her dad had already become an American, so she became American instantly. So yeah, so you could be born to an American and you're an American, or you can be born on American soil and you're American. So it can be either way, which is interesting. Anyway, like I said, so Trump is trying to ban it again. He's just going to get, I think the court's going to overturn it again. I don't think there's much wiggle room in the Constitution. Now, actually, one thing, we can ask Boyfriend about this. Let's see. Let me see here. Hey, Boyfriend, I've got a question about birthright citizenship. And again, I'd like you to do a little research to make sure you get it right. But the question is, what categories are allowed to be excluded? Meaning, I believe diplomats are not allowed to have kids here. Meaning, if they have kids, the kids don't become American. What other categories do we not allow to become American just because you're born here? Let's see.
In the U.S., almost anyone born on U.S. soil is granted citizenship, but there are a few exceptions. Children born to foreign diplomats with immunity don't get automatic citizenship. Also, historically, children born to occupying foreign military forces or in certain U.S. territories, like American Samoa, may not automatically become U.S. citizens. In other words, unless you're in one of these narrow situations, being born in the U.S. typically means...
Well, okay, sorry, but my question was the narrow situations. I already know the law. Give me more details here. Give me specifically under what situations are you not going to be an American citizen because you're born here? One is a diplomat. Two is if you're a foreign invader, so Canada in 1812 or whatever didn't get to become Americans. Beyond that?
You've got it mostly right. The biggest exception is indeed diplomats. If your parents have full diplomatic immunity, you're not under U.S. jurisdiction, so no citizenship. The foreign invader idea is more historical. It's rarely relevant today. Another niche situation is children born in certain unincorporated territories, like American Samoa, where people are U.S. nationals but not citizens by birth. Beyond those, if you're born here, you're in.
Wait, American Samoans are not American? What do you mean?
They're U.S. nationals, which means they can live and work in the U.S. and hold a U.S. passport, but they don't automatically have birthright citizenship. They have to go through a naturalization process if they want to become full U.S. citizens. So they're connected to the U.S., but not.
Wait. Okay, wait. I want you to double check this. So you're saying people born in American Samoa can live and work in the U.S. mainland, and they can get a U.S. passport, but they're not U.S. citizens unless they've naturalized? So what? So what does that mean? They can't vote?
Exactly. People born in American Samoa are U.S. nationals, not automatic citizens. As nationals, they can live and work anywhere in the U.S. and carry a U.S. passport, but they don't have the full rights of citizens. That means they can't vote in federal elections, serve on juries, or hold certain federal jobs unless they go through naturalization to become full
And
U.S.
does that apply to any other territory, or all the other ones are okay?
American Samoa is unique in that regard. People born in other U.S. territories, like Puerto Rico, Guam, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and the Northern Mariana Islands, do have birthright.
Why is American Samoa unique?
It's largely due to how American Samoa's relationship with the U.S. evolved legally and politically. When the U.S. acquired it, it wasn't fully incorporated like other territories. Its residents preferred to maintain local traditions and governance. Over time, court decisions and local preference kept the national...
Okay, sorry. Wait a minute. You want me to believe that when the U.S. took over a territory, we cared what the local residents thought about whether they fully wanted to be Americans? Give me a break. We didn't care. We must have done it for our own partisan reasons here in the U.S.
The skepticism. In reality, it's a mix. The U.S. historically made these calls for its own strategic reasons, whether naval, legal, or political. But over time, local voices in American Samoa did advocate to keep certain distinctions. It wasn't all benevolence, but the unique status stuck, shaped by both U.S. law and some local preference over the day.
Yeah. Okay, let me be clear here. It's quite possible there were people in the United States who wanted the country but didn't want the people, right? We wanted our naval base, exactly. We wanted the land. But the people we weren't so thrilled with, so we were happy not to let them be citizens. That's my guess, right? They don't get to vote. They don't get to be citizens. Okay, they want to work here. That's fine, whatever, right? I mean, I could see that. I mean, ChatGPT doesn't get political nuance, I think. Now, I don't know for a fact, but my suspicion is that that's probably more what happened. Like, you're an American, a little bit imperialist, and somebody goes, sure, you can take our land, but we don't want to vote and all that stuff. You'd be like, okay, promise? Right? I mean, anyway, very interesting. No, Puerto Ricans are Americans. Puerto Ricans vote in national, how does this work? Puerto Ricans, I believe, vote for president. They don't have a member of Congress. I don't know how the hell it works. I think they do vote for president, though. I don't know how it works for electoral votes. Do they have electoral votes in Puerto Rico? Or I think the territories do have electoral votes, but they don't have members of Congress. I always forget exactly how this works. They can't vote for president. They can't vote for president? Cannot? They have non-voting members of Congress. Oh, like DC. DC had non-voting, and now she kind of votes, but it's a little weird. If they reside in the mainland, okay, that's very interesting too. Interesting. So if Puerto Ricans reside in another state, they can register to vote. But if they reside in Puerto Rico, they can't register to vote for federal elections. Interesting. That is kind of interesting because, well, okay, that's kind of like being an American. I mean, in the sense, although Americans abroad get to vote, how do those electoral votes work? How do you vote for president if you reside abroad? Like, I don't remember. How does it work for electoral votes? Anybody know offhand? Well, Hawaii's a state. Hawaii, there's no issue. That's not my question. Obviously, if you live abroad, it's a mail-in ballot. That's not my point. I said, do you have electoral votes, and whose electoral votes are they? You don't have a state if you live abroad. That's my point. You very well could not have a state, right? I sell all my property and I move to France or I move to Greece. What state do I live in? Right? I mean, it's a very interesting question. We don't have registration in the U.S. There's no such thing as a state you're registered in. You know what I mean? There's no such thing as registration in the U.S. That doesn't exist. This is not yet, at least. We don't register people in America, not yet. But you know what I mean? That's what I mean. It's a very interesting question as to how that works. Even driver's license gets tricky after a while. You know, you need to renew your driver's license. Do you renew voter registration? Shelley, I'm not being obtuse. You're talking about voter fraud. I leave Washington, D.C. and sell all my property and leave the state and I register to vote 5 years from now? Would you like me to go to prison? Like, good luck. Because if I don't own property and I don't rent an apartment and I don't live in D.C. anymore, I better not be voting in D.C.'s elections. Got news for you as a lawyer here. Yeah, no, that's what I mean. It's a very interesting question. Yeah. Well, boy, I don't know if boyfriend's going to be, well, you can ask him. Boyfriend, we're having a little bit of a fight here. So my question was, let's say I move abroad. Let's say I sell my property in D.C. I no longer live in Washington, but I don't live in any other U.S. state. I go live in Paris, and I decide to spend the rest of my life in Paris. Do I still vote in presidential elections? Where do I vote? And how does my vote count? Are there electoral votes for people abroad? Or do you have to have a home in another state? And can I actually keep my home in another state to keep voting?
No need to fight. This is pretty clear. If you move abroad permanently, you still can vote in federal elections. You'll be voting in the last U.S. state you are registered in, which would be D.C. if that's where you last lived. You don't need to maintain property or residency. Your voting eligibility stays tied to that last state. And yes, your vote counts. It applies in federal elections, like for president. D.C. even has its own electoral votes, so you'll still have that say.
Wait, but if you abandon the state, sell all your property and move, and you have no further connection to the state, you can still keep your voter registration? What do you do when they call you to jury duty?
When you move abroad permanently, you typically update your registration as an overseas voter. In that status, you remain tied to your last state of residence, but purely for voting in federal elections, like president or
Okay,
Congress.
but not for income tax, because if I leave D.C., I'm sure as hell not paying D.C. income tax, that's for sure.
Exactly. Voting doesn't tie you to taxes. Even if you keep voting based on your last U.S. residence, you wouldn't owe D.C. taxes once you're no longer domiciled there. The tax side depends on where you actually live and earn. So rest assured, no sneaky D.C. taxes if you're enjoying life in Paris.
Interesting. And driver's license, same thing? Unless you got to take the driver's test, then you're in trouble. All right, Shelley. Except I wasn't being obtuse. You get what I was trying to get at. Was it sounds kind of illegal that you're continuing to vote in a state that you have no ties at all. What was my question I was asking? If you remember ChatGPT?
You were asking about whether you can still vote in U.S. presidential elections if you move abroad permanently. Specifically, where your vote would count.
Yeah. I know that.
No worries. We're on the same page.
No,
If anything-
Squee, I wasn't being rude. When you call somebody obtuse, it's being rude. There's a little fact for you. Yeah, don't call people obtuse. It's not polite. All right, interesting. Yeah, driver's license. That was my question. You're right. But eventually, for your driver's license, they're going to make you take a driver's test, and then you're screwed, right?
Yeah, once your U.S. driver's license expires after you've been abroad for a while, you'd need to meet the local requirements if you return. And yeah,
Like DC, for example, I looked at it the other day. I'm pretty sure once in 20 years, you're allowed, like you get a 10-year license, I think, and you're allowed to renew for another 10 years, and then you got to take the driver's test. Like I'm up for my driver's test now, which is really, or the stupid written exam or whatever, which is really annoying. Just annoying. But anyway, because I just, who remembers that stuff? You know what I mean? It's just not the kind of thing you're going to, good. Okay. All right. Anyway, let's go back to the news here. See, and we didn't have much news, but now we're already getting distracted. McConnell. So Mitch McConnell put out another update today. He is leaving rehab and going home and continuing rehab there. but he's still not doing an interview, still hasn't talked to anybody. Nobody else has admitted talking to him. Guys, this is freaking weird. It was June 14th, I believe, that he had his falling on the ground, cardiac arrest, 85 years old. 85-year-old men who suffer cardiac arrest are usually not in very good shape afterwards. Everyone's pretending like he's okay. Interestingly, you don't have anybody else claiming that they've had long policy discussions with him, which is interesting. Because initially, remember, two different people were like, oh, I talked to him for 20 minutes and we talked about the war and all sorts of policy things. And then everyone was like, really? Well, then the governor, this is probably why they don't do it. The governor of Kentucky, a Democrat, said, oh, okay. If he's able to have 20-minute policy discussions, then he'll have no problem having a 5-minute interview with the local press. Right? And it could be, I mean, like I said, it could be a simple interview. It doesn't have to be a hard interview. He was sick. It could be 5 minutes of, hey, how you doing? How you feeling? You know, you hoping to get back to work? You know, just have he can't even have that. He can't even have a 5-minute conversation with a reporter. Right? Or, as Welder just said, where are the videos of him speaking? Right? At the very least, you could do a video. Hey, Senator, let's just do a 5-minute video. You can talk to people, say, hey, guys, how you doing? I'm doing okay. I know people were worried. Why isn't he doing that? Because he's not capable of doing that. Otherwise, I worked for a United States Senator. If you were capable of proving that you're alive, you would prove that you're alive at this point. You wouldn't keep going and scaring people basically into thinking there's something wrong. You would absolutely and frankly, you'd do a lot of videos. If the senator were doing okay, but was just in rehab, you would be like, once every couple of days, let's do a video in the senator. And frankly, it would be kind of cute. You'd be like, hey, it's Mitch. I'm checking in again. Just wanted to see how folks were doing. I saw the World Cup match, that last match. You would check in. He hasn't done it once. Yeah, there's something wrong with him. I mean, obviously there's something wrong with him. What bothers me is this is just, as I've talked about before, it's so typical of Washington. And frankly, we saw it with Biden. We certainly see it with senators and congressmen all of the time. They get to be 90 years old and they don't care. Dianne Feinstein, she was not doing well at 90. Remember Dianne Feinstein when she was doing the Kavanaugh hearings? Remember she was the top Democrat on the Kavanaugh hearings, and it was ancient Feinstein and ancient, what's his face, Grassley? And Grassley still had even though he wasn't doing well, he was upper 80s too. He wasn't doing great. Feinstein was just like, Feinstein had no idea what she was doing. Absolutely no idea what she was doing, which was ridiculous. But this is what they do. They just, remember Strom Thurmond, the guy who copped a field with me when he was 89? He stayed in office until he was 100. 100 or 102. I forget exactly. He was either 100 or 102. I guarantee you, at 89, the man was sexually molesting me, thinking I was a girl. Like, there's no way that he was okay at age 100 or 102 in the United States Senate. It's bullshit. And this is what they do. And honestly, Gabby Giffords did the same thing. I remember during her thing, she's a Democrat. I remember during her thing too, I was like, you know what? It's horrible what happened to you. You should not remain a member of Congress. You can't. You just can't. I mean, if you can't do the job, you shouldn't be there. You know, this isn't the private sector. Even in the private sector, good luck. But this isn't the private sector. You don't have the right to a job if you're a member of Congress. No, or the president. And again, Biden too. Biden was not in any condition to run again. Biden knew it. We elected Biden. Biden was going to stay one term and then he changed his mind. Well, thanks a lot. That was not really very helpful. McConnell has, released, but McConnell put out a statement today that he was leaving rehab and going home and continuing rehab at home. To me, that sounds like he might have run into his Medicare limits. Medicare only allows you to be in rehab. I looked at this for my parents. Medicare only allows you to be in rehab for a certain number of days a year and a certain number of days consecutively a year. It's very complicated. I remember with my dad, I was like, oh my God, it was so complicated. So it's possible McConnell could have left could have met his limit for the month or two that he was on it. 100 days, Tarad says, yeah, it's possible I don't know. Who knows? So, I don't know. Anyway. Yeah, that's what we're talking about, Kara. He's a millionaire. Well, he can hopefully afford it anyway. But yeah, well, he's a millionaire, but he may not want to spend the money. Who knows? Or maybe he is well enough to finally go home. Right? If you're staying in a hospital bed, what's the difference if you're in a hospital bed or a bed back home? Even if you're not doing well, it may not matter. You know? It's very weird. This whole thing is very weird. It's very weird. What else we got? Iran. So, I had to read this from CBS. It's great. So, you know how Iran and Oman are still, I don't know, but that's a good question, Michelle. I don't know about that. Iran and Oman are still negotiating to divide up the Strait of Hormuz, and they're going to have a fee and all this kind of crap. Well, Trump today via CBS, listen to this. President Trump on Thursday told reporters he didn't want to say a deal to reopen the Strait of Hormuz had been reached, but insisted it's sort of open right now. Yes, that would be the leader of the free world. It's sort of open right now. Sort of. You go, girl. We control it, but they can always shoot something. Hold on. We have to, this one necessitates the wig. Wait, there we go. There we go. We need the wig for this one. It's sort of open right now. We control it, but they can always shoot something. They always have something or drop a mine. And if you have one mine out there, you sort of mess things up because people don't want to take their billion-dollar boats and accidentally get hit by a mine, but I think we're doing very well. That was Donald Trump claiming the Strait of Hormuz is open, but it's not really open. We control it, so don't worry. I mean, they can always blow things up, and they do, but we control it. Well, if there's no traffic going through, and there's almost no traffic, 10 ships went through from like the weekend until from like Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. In 4 days, 10 ships went through. It's clearly closed. We don't control it if the Iranians are able to blow up any ship that goes through there, right? That doesn't mean we control it. I'm sorry. I missed it. I didn't check it out on Discord, man. I'll have to check it out. It just, this is Donald Trump. I mean, you know. It's Schrodinger's Strait. It's closed and open at the same time. And if you into physics will get that. The rest of you, it's not worth trying to explain. I'd have to ask boyfriend to tell you about it in a simple way, because it even confuses me trying to explain it, to be honest. It's like two different states of, was it electrons? I don't even remember. But not even the states, isn't it? It's oh my God, I don't even want to I'm going to like screw it up even trying to explain it. Yeah, but trying to explain it is just going to be a mess. So yeah. He's crazy. He's crazy. Yeah, it's open. It's really open. Kind of. Sort of. It's sort of open right now. We control it. I mean, they can always bomb it. They can always mine it. But it's kind of open. Anyway. Iran, a little bit more here. Oh, this was good. So a number of media is reporting this. Trump's frustration over the Iran war boiled over at Camp David last week, where he demanded answers from Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth on why he had apparently been misled on extreme munition shortages that now threaten to limit military options with Iran. Okay, first of all, I don't really get this. Like, no one told Trump that we were having extreme munitions shortages. I don't buy, even though he's an ass, I don't buy it. Because first of all, we've been hearing about it for weeks and weeks and weeks. So how is he not hearing about it, right? I mean, granted, he's an idiot, so you probably can't tell him stuff because he'd get angry. But I still have a very hard time. Right, he's not talking to his generals, is what it sounds like. I have a very hard time believing nobody told him that. God, maybe Hegseth actually did try to protect him and wasn't going to tell him that we were running out of weapons. Maybe it was. You know. Now, of course, you got to love this. The White House is like, it's not true. It's not true. It's a total lie. That story. He didn't get mad. Except that he tweeted about it. So, of course, he's mad. Trump's tweet, the U.S. has massive amounts of munitions, especially of certain types. He's such a blithering idiot. I always love this. The U.S. has, okay, we're putting on the hair again for blithering idiot man. Republicans say you don't have to go to college. Granted, Trump went to college, but he's a perfect example of why education matters. I mean, he got an education, but he clearly didn't get an education. The U.S. has massive amounts of munitions, especially of certain types. Additionally, large amounts are being manufactured and shipped to the U.S. as needed. Defense companies are building the largest number of plants and factories in our country's history. Yeah, that doesn't really help us right now. If they're building factories and plants, it means they're not even building the weapons yet, right? If they're not building the weapons yet, then God knows when we're getting the weapons. The leakers, here's my favorite. The leakers of these treasonous statements are being hunted down. Long-term jail sentences will be sought. No, see, Donald, this is the problem when you're a low IQ individual. You can't throw people in jail for leaking something that isn't true. It's not a leak if it's not true. So what you're really doing, Donald, is you're confessing the fact that we do have a massive shortage of weapons, because that's the only way you could throw them in jail is if they were leaking the fact that it's true that we have a massive weapon shortage. Thank you, Timbo. Otherwise, they're just telling lies, or the media is telling lies. It's not a crime. You literally can't go after them for lying. You can't. So he's admitting that it's true because he's an idiot. I mean, again, and there's nothing they can tell him because, he's an idiot. Meanwhile, NBC, Pentagon holds crisis meeting on weapons shortfall after angry Trump call, sources say. The president asked Defense Secretary Hegseth about a shortfall in munitions at a recent Camp David meeting, so NBC's confirming it. And sources say Hegseth pointed, And sources say Hegseth pointed to Deputy Defense Secretary Stephen Feinberg. Hegseth blamed it on his deputy. He's at the meeting, he goes, not my fault, it's his fault. You gotta love that. You're the freaking Secretary of Defense, and you're blaming the weapon shortfall on your deputy, not on you. Okay, Petey. The White House said, this is 100% fake news, except that Trump then issued an angry tweet about it and said he's going to throw in prison everybody who leaked it. By the way, treason would be because you're helping the enemy by giving out this information. The only way you're helping the enemy is if America doesn't have the weapons. If America has the weapons, you're actually hurting the enemy because you're making the enemy think that we're out of weapons when we're really not. That actually would benefit us because the enemy would underestimate us and we would destroy them, right? Very smart. Wall Street Journal. Republican-led Senate committee voted to hold Dr. Anthony Fauci in contempt of Congress for refusing to answer lawmakers' questions about his handling of the COVID pandemic. Senators voted 8-5. It seeks to refer the case directly to the Justice Department. So what fascinates me here is it is August of 2026, and Republicans are still litigating COVID. I always tell you guys, this is an important lesson in messaging in politics. You repeat your message again and again and again and again, and you keep reminding people of your message until it's drilled in their head, because they'll believe you after a while when they keep hearing it. You don't hear anybody on the normal, educated, correct, factually, scientifically correct side of COVID talk about COVID anymore. No one does. The crazies are still talking about COVID. So now all you hear are the crazies talking about COVID. Remember the other day, that crazy Navarro guy working for Trump said he had a warehouse full of hydroxychloroquine, remember, whatever the hell it was called, which was one of the fake COVID cures or COVID prevention or whatever the hell it was one of the fake ones. He brought it up. I don't even remember the name. No one's talked about that damn thing in 5 years, 6 years. They do. They're going after, Fauci was our top disease specialist. Under Trump, thank you, under the Democrats too, but under Trump as well. He's our top disease specialist, and they want to hang him to dry because they've got a whole conspiracy theory about China and Fauci and U.S. research and this and that and masks and vaccines. And it's because it works. They don't want to deal with inflation. They don't want to deal with our economy. They don't want to deal with, frankly, international relations either. They burned the bridges with all our friends. They want to suck up to all our enemies. Thank you, Dave. And they want to litigate COVID. Now, they don't want to deal with Epstein, exactly. Now, what they're doing with the COVID thing is Fauci goes to testify. He's like 85 years old. He goes to testify. And he was pardoned by Biden. So they're desperate to throw him in prison because they've got to give their base some red meat about COVID, right? They cannot accept that it was a pandemic and it's over. And they screwed up, basically. They screwed up. So they want to throw Fauci in jail because he pled the Fifth. You can't do that under American law. A judge is going to throw it out. They want to indict him and everything because he went to the committee and pled the Fifth Amendment, which means under the U.S. Constitution, you have the right to the right against self-incrimination. So you have the right to not incriminate yourself. So if somebody questions you in something that might incriminate yourself, that might get you in trouble legally, you have the right to say, I invoke my Fifth Amendment right. So Fauci brought up his Fifth Amendment rights about 100 times. Trump did it like 500 times, 400 or 500 times when he was interviewed a few years ago. It's something you do. Sometimes you do it when you're guilty. Sometimes you do it when you're afraid of getting railroaded. So Fauci did it. It's legal. It is totally legal. They want to throw him in prison for invoking his constitutional rights. Can't do it. They, voted yes. They're going to try to give it to Trump. They're going to try to get Trump's Justice Department to do it. Should be interesting because I think you're going to have more Justice Department people that are going to quit probably. But also we're going to know more people to put on a big list that we get to keep track of later of who the traitors are. But a judge is going to throw it out. Judge is going to totally throw it out. But they're doing it to cause him pain. They're doing it to feed their grassroots. Oh, look, we're going after Fauci. Forget about inflation and Epstein, but we're going after Fauci. That's what they're doing. It's ridiculous. I mean, it really is. But again, it's brilliant in the sense that they just never stop messaging on an issue again and again and again and again and again. And we don't. We don't talk about COVID anymore. We don't talk about all the people they killed. We don't talk about, all the bullshit that they put out there about, thank you, Brown-Eyed, about all the bullshit they put out there about it, Exactly. They're naive and easy to influence. That's exactly it. I mean, we don't mention that about them. And we should. We should just, honestly, it's like January 6th. It's like all of this stuff. Trump stealing the classified information, all of that stuff. We should be talking about that stuff every day. Every day we should be reminding people of who he is. I mean, the Stormy Daniels stuff. Every day we should be reminding people of who he is. If it was all what I sort of tell Democrats always is, think of what the Republicans would do and do it. Maybe you don't have to lie like they would. Fair enough, right? They would lie. You don't have to lie, the Republican politicians. But what they would do is they would grab onto it, they would throw it in your face, and they'd throw it in your face every single time you wanted to talk about it, and they would embarrass you again and again and again and again and again. Like Trump, right? Biden crime family, right? You would take something and you would just throw it at them and you'd brand them with it again and again and again. Epstein, my God. Epstein. Good point, actually, Jens. Why aren't we talking about Epstein? E. Jean Carroll, you're right. Trump was found liable for that. They found that she was telling the truth. Why aren't we talking about that every day? Thank you, Blue. We should be talking about that stuff every day. Epstein, too. Epstein should never stop talking about. Anyway, well, the 85 million is going through the courts. Yep. But the first 5 million she got it, which is good. I'm going to skip that one. This is actually very funny. Listen to this one. Listen to this. New York Times. The Food and this one's kind of crazy, actually. It's good news, but it's crazy. Thank you, Eddie. The Food and Drug Administration on Wednesday approved the first mRNA flu vaccine, enabling use of a technology that will make it easier to rapidly target a widely prevalent or particularly virulent strain of the virus. Alexa, lower the temperature 1 degree. There we go. The approval of the vaccine, called Mflusiva, which is manufactured by Moderna, follows a series of blows to mRNA research directed by Robert Kennedy, the health secretary, including the cancellation of 22 projects meant to develop vaccines with mRNA technology through the government's blah, blah, blah. Initially, the FBI, this is the vaccine that Trump and Kennedy refused to even investigate. Remember, the drug company had done all the tests and the tests were really good. The trials were great. And they submitted them. And HHS said, we're not even going to, this is an mRNA vaccine. We're not even going to review it. And there was such an outcry. I don't know how. There was such an outcry that they actually got them to change the mind. which I'm shocked, frankly, that they did. Initially, the FDA refused to even review Moderna's application for approval earlier this year, but quickly reversed course after a public outcry. The flu kills more than 300,000 people worldwide each year and was particularly harsh in the 2024-25 season with an estimated 45,000 deaths in the United States, including at least 297 reported cases in children, according to the CDC. This is mRNA. That's the one they used for COVID, yeah. I always forget whether they were all mRNA or whether Moderna was just mRNA. I don't remember if the other two were mRNA. I thought maybe they weren't. I don't quite recall now. But yeah, mRNA though was the wild new, they can, all I remember was they can pivot to a new one really quickly and pivot to a new one and pivot to a new one that they don't have to like take forever to get a new vaccine up and going. So J&J was not. Okay. J&J was not. That's interesting. Okay. Hold on. Oop. So that's interesting. Yeah. J&J was not. Very interesting. Whatever, go away. Anyway, yeah. So, but this is wild. It's absolutely wild that this was the miraculous vaccine. And they got it passed through Trump. And again, and through RFK. So now we're doing flu vaccines. This is hilarious, actually. We're doing flu vaccines based on mRNA. That's great. Absolutely great. You know? Just wild. Just wild. Air Force One update. Air Force One. Maggie Haberman, New York Times reporter, knows a lot about Trump. Writes, Trump's team has talked about taking 2 Air Force Ones with him when he leaves office. A 1990 jet and the Qatari Bridge Air Force One when he leaves office. Unclear where that stands now, Eric Trump told NBC News by text that putting the bridge plan at the Miami library is not the plan. So basically, first bit of news, Trump has been planning all along to steal 2 Air Force Ones when he leaves, not just one. No one knew that. I had no idea that he was planning on doing that. Eric Trump tries to protect himself and says, lots of presidents have done this. Lots of presidents have done this. No. Only one president has done this, Ronald Reagan. That's the only one. That's it. Lots of presidents have not taken an Air Force One. Ronald Reagan took Air Force One, but it's more complicated. It happened 12 years after Reagan left office, 12 or 13. I think Reagan was already dead at that point. It was 12 or 13 years after he left office, okay? And the plane was 30 years old. Oh, I looked into this. The plane was 29 years old, and guess how many years the plane was in service as Air Force One? Around 29. The plane had been used as Air Force One the entire time. Trump wants the Qatari jet to be given to his library when he leaves. That was the plan all along. The plane is 15 years old total. It hasn't even been used as Air Force One but once. Remember, he flew to Turkey and then he freaked out because he realized it wasn't safe. So the plane isn't even being used as Air Force One yet. Maybe in a few months, maybe in a year. Basically, at most, the plane's we're spending $1 billion+ on it, and the plane will be used maybe 2 years. And then we're giving Donald Trump a new plane that's only been used for 2 years. The Air Force, not exactly. And they like to point to Reagan. Reagan's plane was used as Air Force One for almost 30 years. And Reagan got it 12 years after he left office, after he was dead. So Reagan didn't profit from it. With Trump's case, we are very concerned that Trump is going to be using the plane for himself. I am, certainly. A lot of the experts are very concerned that that's what's going to happen. And for Eric Trump to say, oh, no, the Qatari jet won't go to the Trump library in Miami. The other old Air Force One is. Well, why is the other old Air Force One? What are you going to do with the Qatari plane? Do we really believe Trump is going to just leave the plane? Really? Right? He's just gonna give up his little golden Liberace plane? Really? Or is he taking it with him? Again, the experts were saying earlier that Trump was taking it with him. Man, They retired Reagan's plane because it was 30 years old and had been used for almost that time for presidents. It was an old plane, 30 years. Really, it's just amazing. Finally, there isn't a ton of Ukraine news. The only Ukraine news I've got really is Lithuanian intelligence has suggested that Russia could use Ukrainian-made drones to carry out false flag-style attacks on critical infrastructure in the Baltic region. Basically, the concern is that Russia is going to use Ukrainian drones to fly into the Baltics and blow up utilities and factories and things like that, just to be obnoxious, frankly, and basically say, oh, it wasn't us, they were Ukrainian drones. Prove that it was us. Prove that it was us, right? Thank you, Eslin. Appreciate that. Anyway. Doesn't matter, John. John Piper. Oh, sorry, what was that? Thank you for that was Brown-Eyed. Thank you, Brown-Eyed. Sorry, John goes, isn't Air Force One part of the United States Air Force? Just saying. I don't know that it is, but even if it were, your point would be? Don't tell me your point would be, it would be against the law for Donald Trump to take the plane. That wouldn't be right. Right? I mean, right? I mean, no, you raise a good point, but of course, it's irrelevant. It's Donald Trump, right? It would also be against the law to try to violently overthrow the government. It'd be against the law to steal classified information. It's against the law to literally knock down a wing of the White House and build something from scratch. It's against the law to take money from the National Endowments for the Humanities and steal it for an arch. All of these things are against the law. It's also against the law to actually start building things when you don't have money. That's against the law too. He did that with his ballroom. He doesn't have money for it. He just had the contractor the guy start working. Yeah, the law is a speed bump. The law is a very, very small speed. The Kennedy Center, that's true. The Kennedy Center, just add his name. That literally was against the law. There is a law that named the Kennedy Center. The law says what the name has to be. He just broke the law and changed the name. So, yeah, might be against the law. So, no news on the drones at the German airport. I don't think so. I don't think they know anything new. I don't know. I didn't see any news about it today. Oh, my God. Thank you, and Jerry. Appreciate that. I see you've been in the fan club for 200 days. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. Anyway. What else? Anyway, it's 7:00. See, we did go. Well, we went long though because we went long talking about birthright citizenship. The Russians. It looks like the Russians attacked a plane bringing supplies to Ukraine that was in Leipzig, eastern Germany, and the Russians used a drone. We believe it was the Russians used a drone to attack the plane. The tarps are definitely still up at the Kennedy Center. I haven't seen it in a week or two, but they're definitely still up. Yeah, we would know if it weren't. I doubt he gave Fauci the Medal of Freedom. Trump? I don't think so. There's no way Trump gave Fauci the Medal of Freedom. No way. You can see, but Google it, but I doubt it. Biden might have, but Trump didn't. But Biden pardoned Fauci, so the Republicans are trying to do everything they can. And like a number of Republican governors are investigating Fauci now to see if we can find out that he broke state law, because state law doesn't pardon you. You have to be pardoned by a governor. Biden's pardon won't protect him from state law. This is what they do. Again, you live in a bunch of states that mostly have poor education, poor healthcare, poor economies, because they're Republican states. And what are you focusing on? Fauci. Okay. Well, it could have been Bush. I don't know. Google it. Somebody Google it. Anyway, man. The judge just dismissed the case against Hearn. Kern, not quite with prejudice. Giving the government a chance to appeal without prejudice. Interesting. Ooh, hold on. I'm going to have to do an update after the show. Hang on, guys. Let me pull this up. Interesting. Very interesting. Hold on. Breaking news here. Let's see if it's even in the... Yeah. Oop, let's get Washington Post. That might even be better. Wow. Well, good that we don't have the lawyer on for another day or two. A D.C. judge on Thursdays granted prosecutors' request to dismiss a felony charge against the former Olympian who had been accused of vandalizing the pool. David Hearn was arrested in June after he said he touched a piece of plastic liner that had been visibly peeling from the reflecting pool, becoming a target of President Trump, who railed against Hearn and other alleged vandals. Outside observers, and the Washington Post analysis repeatedly showed that the damage likely stemmed from a rushed renovation. Justice Department ultimately moved to drop the case against Hearn, along with 3 other defendants, after receiving Interior Department documents suggesting the peel was caused by the botched repair job. Given the positions of the parties, the court discerns no reason why this felony case should remain pending against Mr. Hearn while the parties litigate and the court resolves. The remaining legal issues. Okay. Hearn's lawyers, okay. Yeah, okay. So here's what's going on. Okay, that's okay, actually. That's okay what's happening. Here's what's going on. The Hearn's lawyers, do we have nobody there? Thank you, Ash. Hearn's lawyers asked the court to throw the case out with prejudice. There are 2 ways of dismissing a case. You can dismiss a case with prejudice or without prejudice. Dismissing a case without prejudice means the prosecutors can come after you in the future if they think they've got enough evidence. They can just re-indict you once again. Dismissing a case with prejudice means they can never go after you again. That's it. It's over. It's done. It's almost like you were found innocent and they can't go after you ever again. The government asked to dismiss the case. Oh, that was funny. Weird, Ash. God knows why. The government asked for the case to be dismissed, but they asked for it to be dismissed without prejudice so they could go after Hearn again later, maybe. Hearn's lawyers said, bullshit. You basically broke the law. You went after this guy knowing that you didn't have a case. You lied to the grand jury, and we want the judge to throw the case out and make it clear that you can never go after him again. What the judge just said was, we are still discussing that point. The lawyers are still litigating, meaning the lawyers still have legal issues they're debating, including, and maybe only including, whether this case should be, or frankly, the judge may have even meant more. The judge certainly meant we are still litigating whether or not this case should be thrown out with prejudice. But the judge also might have meant we're still litigating whether there's any kind of a sanction against the lawyers involved. The judge could refer the case to the state bar associations to get these lawyers disbarred for the Justice Department. So that's what the judge did. But the judge said, but look, it's unfair to Mr. Hearn to keep the indictment in place while we're still discussing this. So I'm going to throw out the case against Mr. Hearn so that he doesn't have to worry about the current case while we are still debating these other legal issues in court, including whether the case is thrown out permanently, and I would say whether there's any kind of a legal sanction against the Justice Department lawyers. Thank you, Russell. That's a goat scream, as you know. So very interesting. Very interesting. Are you sure, Robert? The judge wants to get the transcript from the grand jury. Are you sure? So yes, I want to do in a minute, I'll do an update for TikTok and everybody about that. Very interesting. Yeah. So it's actually, it's not a, anyway, my point is the judge didn't really split the baby in half. The judge said, we are still discussing in court what to do about prejudice or not prejudice, and maybe even sanctions. But while we're discussing that, it's not fair to Hearn to keep the indictment in place. So they've certainly made, their motion asked for the transcript. Yes, their motion did ask for the transcript. Couldn't any of you look up Fauci's medal for me? I assumed one of you would. Just look it up and see who, if anybody, gave him the Medal of Honor. So anyway, so very interesting. Well, that's good. Bush gave it? Bush gave it, really? Bush gave it. Wow. Really? George Bush? George Bush the son? Probably. So George W. Bush. That's funny. That's actually very funny. A Republican president gave him the Medal of Honor. Wow. That's funny. The son. Yeah. Wow. That's very interesting. Wow, very interesting. Huh. Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. Huh. For his work on AIDS. George Bush. Wow. That's wild. Very interesting. Yeah. That's surprising. Yeah. The goat. Oh, yeah. Who was the goat for? Did we get an answer on which goat? Or should I just do Halloween? Halloween seems to be the go-to goat. We'll do Halloween. One more. Oh, for PEPFAR too. So it was international AIDS. Right. Right. Bush worked with Clinton and AIDS. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. Okay. June 19th, 2008, President Bush. Okay, interesting. Interesting. Oh, that's good. Yeah, the Republicans liked a lot of the international AIDS stuff. Thank you, Dave. A presidential commendation. Okay. It was on his last full day in office. Oh, no, that was Trump. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Trump did? Oh, this is funny. Trump. Wait, is this true, though? True. On the final day of his administration, Trump awarded Dr. Fauci a presidential commendation for his exceptional efforts on Operation Warp Speed, producing the vaccine on the COVID. That's funny. That actually is very funny. Wow. That's very funny. So that's a great, again, I didn't even hear about that. How often do you hear, with all this Fauci crap going on, how often do you hear Democrats talking about it and saying, he got an award from Donald Trump for his work on COVID, and now they're going after him on COVID? No, Democrats don't want to talk about COVID, but honestly, I think Democrats should talk about COVID. You know, remind them. Do you really want these guys in charge the next time there's a pandemic? Really? Look what they did in the last one. You really want people who don't believe in science in charge? Really? Like, hello, measles, I'm your friend. You know? Wow. Anyway. Anyway. All right, a couple more minutes, guys, and then I will do my video. I don't know why we suck as messengers. I really don't. It's always a problem. Yeah, emergency medicine. I can't even imagine you guys going through that again, you know? Alexa, raise the temperature 1 degree.
I raised the temperature by 1 degree.
Bam. I made my bread today. It did well. So I've got fresh bread for tomorrow. That's good. I'm happy. Very happy. Although I do need to make my my buttermilk biscuits. I do like to have those for breakfast, but at least I've got fresh bread, so that will be nice. Why the airports were shutting down? Were they? The museums were shutting down. I didn't hear about the airports. This one is not sourdough. I have sourdough in my fridge, but I was just in the mood to get it done. Sourdough takes a couple days to get it going, so I wasn't in the mood. I do, though, have to, I'm going to write myself a note. I do, however, have to freshen my sourdough, and I don't want to forget that. There we go. All right. I've got this sitting here so I will see it, so I don't forget it. The cornbread, very good, the cornbread recipe, yes. 8 states had airports, air traffic halted. That's a little weird. Let's pull that one up. Yeah, the birth tourism thing, it is weird. Again, Trump being Trump, you know. Closed. Let's see. Let's see here. No, there's no news about airports being closed in the U.S. today. Nope. I mean, it may have happened, but there's no news about it. So, don't know. Don't know. Don't know. Might be some, who knows, yeah, what it was, but I'm not even seeing any stories about it, which is weird. Who called Fauci in? Depends what you mean by in. To testify was Rand Paul. Superbug country? I'm not sure what that is. Oh. Huh. Weird. Yeah, because I'm literally finding no story here. That is weird. Huh. Weather. I mean, we do have, well, it wasn't too bad though, but we did have some storms rolling through earlier. I mean, sky is still pretty dark. It was funny. It was sunny, and now it's dark again, kind of looking like rainy skies. So who knows? You know, we'll see. Donate U.S. lettuce, exactly. He should have worn the medal. He should have worn both medals. He should have worn the Bush medal and the Trump medal. Although the Trump medal might not have been a medal, might have been a commendation. Probably isn't a medal, I'm going to guess. Whereas the Bush medal would have been a medal. I would have worn that when he testified. He should have worn it when he testified. He wouldn't, but he should have. You know. Anyway. Well, almost done here, guys. Oh boy! Oh boy! Oh boy! Oh boy! Oh God! Last minute gifts are very welcome. And then we'll close up shop in a few minutes. Why would I tell you that? That's such a bizarre question. Actually, I don't make a lot of these lives. Don't make a lot of money at all. Usually, not a ton. Actually, that's why the other videos make more than the lives. The lives are okay, but they're not great. That's why I have to hit you up for gifts. He should have worn it. It would have been hilarious to watch him wear that microphone. Are you kidding? That would have been hilarious. Not the microphone. I mean, wearing the presidential medal from Bush. Hilarious. Oh, it's stormy in DC. We had a little bit of rain earlier. Almost had rain an hour ago, but we didn't. And now I think it's on and off. I don't know if it's going to actually rain. Thank you, Simon. I don't know if it's going to rain tonight or not. Like actually rain. It's been trying, but you know, we had big storms a couple days ago, but that was about it. Big storms several days ago, actually. Maybe last week, actually. New discovery order in the BBC case. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. Where is this? BBC case. Let's see. Trump won last-minute reprieve, temporarily blocking BBC access to his business records. Okay. Well, I mean, you temporarily, that's fine. We can see you temporarily block it pending hearing the arguments in court. So, you know, we'll see. Yeah, the air quality, it's funny. DC, supposedly the air quality wasn't bad today, but I was finding it bothering me. So who knows, you know? New Mexico was going after Trump like months ago for the Epstein stuff. I don't know if that's new. Maybe they hadn't filed a suit yet, but they were complaining about it 2 months ago or so. I think. Yeah. So who knows? Who knows? So. Anyway. Well. Oh, I'm just reading what you guys are saying here. Right, he did amend his BBC complaint to try to cut out, and the court said no. The other court on appeal might agree with Trump, but regional software and staff shortages at airports? Cuba? We haven't heard anything about Cuba. There's been nothing about Cuba, actually, in the news at all for weeks. Remember, because they were in real trouble with their powers. Other than this, Trump is the CIA or whatever set up a special office to basically try to overthrow Cuba. So we're doing that again. But that's not a surprise. I mean, we knew Trump was trying to do that anyway, you know. So that is not a surprise. Oh sorry. Cheese and sourdough. Yeah, it wouldn't be bad. Actually, this one I decided to use some truffle. I have truffle oil, and I use some truffle oil, which is very nice. It gives the bread kind of a nice, you know, a nice smell and flavor. So we will see that tomorrow. So we shall see. Anyway, all right, guys, we're almost at that time. Oh, I'm going to yawn at you again. Oh, God. Exactly, Panda. All right. Well, see, my allergies are kicking in a little, and I don't know why. They just decided to kick in. Oh, man. All right, guys, I'm going to sign off, as always. I will see you guys tomorrow. We've got the weekend shows. So Saturday, and I'll do Saturday and Sunday. Sunday we'll do I have to set it up. Ugh. I've got to figure out how to setting it up isn't going to be. I don't know if I can set it up. Sunday, let's see. Now I'm not sure because it's not easy to set these things up for specific audiences. I don't think I can set up the Sunday show for Jens and a couple of the others. It might be too hard to set up. Syndicate would have to do it. I don't think I'd know how to do it. It's too complicated. Saturdays is already set up automatically, but I would have had to take last week's and moved it to this week, but I didn't. I canceled it. So we'll have to see. Anyway, yep, tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel, exactly. 6 o'clock Eastern time, US tomorrow. Be there, be squared. And I'm going to just keep yawning at you. All right, guys. Otherwise, I'll see you guys tomorrow, okay? Thank you, everybody. As always, I will start with Discord, actually, not Substack. Discord. See you, Discord, by five peoples. Bam. All right. Now we get YouTube and Substack and Instagram and everybody else.